Well, hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Conversations. I trust you are doing well. Today I want to ask you a question. Are you trying to build a brand? I don't think brand building is bad. I work in the creative world, I work in the marketing world, I work with influencers and businesses and a lot of organizations about this concept, but something that I've found that I don't necessarily love is when you are a pastor trying to build a brand. And I know that this is a big conversation that is happening a lot, but here's just my simple observation. You did not sign up to build a brand. You signed up to die. And I know that is absolutely extreme, but this is just over the last decade of me building and leading in church, even as a Gen Z pastor. So I am the part of the generation who this concept really started to explode on. Because we used to have the prosperity gospel. Now, I think we have the popularity gospel, which says that if I have more following, if I have more influence, that translates to me having more authority and more anointing. The problem is that's just not true. It's the same spirit, just dressed in better lighting and filters. And the lie, like I just said, it preaches is if I have more of a following, I have more of an anointing. That's not the gospel. That's idolatry with a blue check mark. That is worshiping honestly yourself and your influence more than following Jesus. Jesus literally never said this, and I know this is humorous, but hear me for a second. He never said, take up your camera and follow me. He said, take up your cross, which means the call to ministry is not marketing, it's martyrdom. See, we've traded the altar for algorithms, and we wonder why the power of God feels distant. You can't crave influence more than intimacy and expect the same fruit Jesus had. And I'm gonna just put it all out there, and I'm hoping that there's at least something in this next 15 minutes that will truly help you. And I've been on a journey with this myself. I have done content since I was 17. I think content is amazing. I think the core foundation of it obviously is your motives. What is your motive? And only you can answer that. You can't try to read somebody else's motives. You're not God. But I'm telling you right now, if your motive is off, so will your authority. So here's 8 thoughts around this. Number 1, the cross killed the brand. Philippians 2 says Jesus made himself of no reputation. He emptied himself, and that's how he was exalted. So if your goal is recognition, not crucifixion, you've already missed the way of Christ. You've already missed the way of Jesus. Jesus wasn't an influencer. Jesus had influence. Those are 2 different things. Having influence and trying to be an influencer are 2 different things. The people who actually carry influence are the people who carry authority. And you can't have influence without authority. Influence without authority is not true, and it's not real influence. Now, Jesus literally made himself of no reputation. The dude died on a cross naked. He left it all on the table for humanity. He put himself up there. He didn't have to die on a cross. He's God in skin and bones, yet he did. So he actually chose the hardest path to accomplish the ultimate goal of connecting humanity with God. So for me, when I think about people robbing the story in the depth of that, and it's just this cute thing where you can build up your brand, but Jesus took up his cross, that to me feels a little wrong. Number 2, God doesn't anoint image, he anoints integrity. Well, 1 Samuel 16:7, man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. So yeah, you can have the coolest image, you can have the best image. You can try and strive to curate a fake image, and that's all amazing for the people in your context of what you're trying to acquire for followers, but the Lord looks at the heart. So he knows. He knows your motives. He knows your heart, and you can't hide from him because he created you. And he created you to use you. When you gave your life to Jesus, your life, your preferences, your methods, they died. You were actually resurrected, and he wants to use that. A vessel needs to be clean and it needs to be empty, and that's what God will use. Because you can fake charisma, but you can't fake character. Sorry, you just can't. You can't fake character. And I'm telling you, it speaks louder than you could ever imagine. Your character, your motives, your integrity, they scream when we think they whisper. Because God will never bless what's put on self-promotion. He won't. There's no blessing in that. Because it's about you, it's not about him. And I know that is direct and it's confrontational and it can seem harsh, but I just love the church way too much. I love people way too much. I love pastors way too much for us to just think this is about ourselves. This is about our mission, our calling, our image. And there's just no Jesus in that. He's not in it. I love that you care about your feed. I think social media is amazing. And God will never bless what's put on self-promotion. Number 3, influence without surrender is dangerous. I've been saying this for years. Everyone wants a platform. Nobody wants the process. You want the platform, man. The second you get saved, what is the first thing you ask your pastor to do? You say, can I share my testimony with the church? It's an automatic nature in us to want to be seen. And I'm not saying that's bad, but if you do that without a process, it's dangerous. And you want to know what the process is? Serving other people, doing hard things. The process of service leads to promotion, at least influence. If you want influence, serve with great motives. If you want resurrection power without crucifixion pain, you want fame, not faith. You want fame. You want to be famous. What is the number one vocation Gen Z and Gen Alpha want? They want to be an influencer. So you can't tell me that there's not pastors who actually just want to be influencers. Because that is the number one vocation people want to do. And pastoring is not just a job, it's a calling. It's not a career, it's a calling. So influence is amazing with surrender, with boundaries, with conviction. But without it, it's incredibly dangerous for yourself, for your family, for your church, for God. And he knows that. Number 4, your calling is not content. Here you go. Jesus didn't say go viral. He said go and make disciples. There is a clear difference between building followers and building the church. I'm just telling you that right now. I know that there's amazing Christian influencers, there's amazing Christian content creators who are pouring into people through online, and I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying God's using it, and it's amazing. And the only reoccurring theme in that whole thing, though, is you. It's not, Jesus didn't, and if I'm being fair, I think if Jesus wanted that to be his primary strategy, he would have done it. He could have easily made technology. He could have easily used anything he wanted, and he could have easily said the last thing, his last words, his last commission to his disciples, to the people who are about to lead the church to be the biggest movement in any human history, the biggest movement. What did he say? Think about that. It now, 2,000 years later, is the biggest movement in the history of humanity. That was not the activation. The call to action at the end of his sermon, which it wasn't even a sermon, it was a dinner. That's a whole nother podcast. He didn't say go viral. He didn't say accumulate as Peter. You try to get as many followers as you possibly can in the next 30 years, then you're going to get crucified upside down. That's not what he said. He said go and make disciples. There was not a clear number on that. There was not a clear KPI or an OKR. He just said go and make disciples. Go and make disciples. Go make one disciple. Go make 10. Go make 10 who make 10. Now you're multiplying yourself. There's a difference between building followers, like I said, and building the church. One feeds your ego, the other costs everything. And if I'm being transparent, I just think there's people who are not willing to count the cost. Or they counted the cost, but they keep counting. Yeah, it's hard work. And it's beautiful. It's worth it. Sacrifice is worship. This thing has been going for 2,000 years. I am not an anomaly. And over the last 2,000 years, technology has advanced. Technology is going to continue to advance. Technology is not the goal. Humans are. ChatGPT is not going to heaven with you. ChatGPT is not going to hell. It's just a system to help you. It's either serving you or it's hurting you. Every tool, every social platform, it's black and white. It is feeding your ego or it's not. Number 5, the algorithm isn't the anointing. Here we go. Just because people are clapping doesn't mean heaven is. I'm telling you, it's actually easier than you think to go viral. You just have to be polarizing. So if you want to have a view, make it polarizing, you'll go viral. That's how you go viral. I don't care if it's about marketing, if it's about parenting, if it's about teaching, if it's about sports. Just have a polarizing opinion. Look at all of the top influencers. Go to Google right now. Top 10 influencers in 2025. All of them have some sort of polarizing belief system attached to their brand, which potentially they don't even actually believe. Likes don't equal fruit. Following doesn't equal fruit. Some of the most anointed people on earth will never trend. Why? Faithfulness isn't sexy. It's not. Sometimes truth isn't, by the way, and truth is polarizing. So you speaking the truth with love, grace always comes before truth, by the way, in the Bible. And that's clear as day. Just because people are clapping doesn't mean heaven is. Just because you get people who think like you, to follow you, to just kind of sit in your little cul-de-sac of belief systems, that doesn't mean heaven's behind it. That doesn't mean Jesus is actually approving what you're doing. Honestly, sometimes God is not in growth numerically because it actually waters down your mission. You get so focused on scaling or growing, you miss people. And that is the only thing God cares about. Number 6, the goal was never to be known. It was to make him known. That's the goal. If you're a follower of Jesus, I don't care if you've been saved for one day or 50 years. I don't care if you're a pastor or you just serve or you don't even serve. This is your mission right here. John 3:30. He must increase, I must decrease. He must increase, I must decrease. And that's not by default, by the way. You actually have to design that. And this is the easiest way to see if this is something that you struggle with. If you can't celebrate someone else's win without feeling smaller, your platform has become your prison. If there's somebody on your team, apply this to your job. If you're not in ministry, if you're not working in a church, which most people don't. If you can't celebrate somebody who is winning, it tells me your goal is to make yourself the winner. You are the center of the prize. You are the goal in your story, and that's a problem. The solution is you gotta decrease, and Jesus has to increase. How do we do that? You follow the principles of him. He served people. He loved people. He spoke into people. He challenged people. His life was about others. He washed the disciples' feet. When's the last time you, and this is a hyperbole, obviously, washed someone's feet? When's the last time you served a Judas in your life? Who you knew potentially already abandoned you, potentially already hurt you. When's the last time you showed generosity into them? When's the last time you gave unreciprocated love and kindness? That to me shows your spiritual maturity more than your platform. Last 2, and this one I said earlier, you signed up to die. Plain and simple, black and white. That's what you signed up to. That's your mission. Think about the 12 disciples. Some of them were boiled alive. Some of them were crucified upside down. Some of them were thrown into and eaten by lions or stoned to death. And we're worried about somebody not following us back on Instagram. How does that make sense? You signed up to die, man. Luke 9:23. Whoever. So this is a mass invite. Every person who watches this podcast or listens to this, whoever wants to be my disciple, Jesus talking, must deny themselves, take up their cross daily, and follow me. The moment you said yes to following Jesus, but also in ministry, you said no to comfort, control, and credit. So if you want to live in comfort, you want to live in control, and you want to take all the credit, that is the counterintuitive to the mission of Jesus. It is, because you're not dying to yourself, and you're not following Jesus. Following Jesus leads to death. And I'm not saying literally, although there are people who die every single day for their faith around the world. Yet we're worried about our favorite sports team on a Sunday and skipping church. The moment you said yes to ministry, you said no to yourself, your preferences, your truth, your all of that. And it's polarizing. Luke chapter 12, I just read it this morning. Jesus is so polarizing. He said the truth is polarizing. It is. And this is controversial, and it shouldn't be, because you signed up to die. You signed up to deny yourself. You signed up to take up your cross, not take up your following, take up your platform. Last but not least, and we're going to wrap up, heaven measures success by surrender. Matthew 25, you and I know this. Well done, good and faithful servant. Not well known, not well branded, well followed. Faithfulness will always matter more than followers. It is so easy to accumulate followers. You know what's hard? Being faithful. Being faithful to people who you actually have to interact with. You want to be successful? Be good, be found good and faithful. And by the way, good and faithful isn't just hoarding or nurturing. It's actually multiplying. Even the person who buried the talents got rid of them, but so did the person who is hoarding them. So for me, it is so much more important for me to understand that heaven is looking and observing how I'm surrendering. That's what God's observing in my heart, is how and why am I surrendering? So just wrapping up here, you don't need more pastors. We don't need more pastors trying to be famous. We need more who are willing to just be faithful. Be faithful. Just be faithful with your flock. Be faithful with your sheep. Be faithful with your small group. We don't need more brands. We need more brokenness, because Jesus didn't die to make you marketable. He died to make you holy. So stop trying to build a brand, kill the one you're building, potentially, and let God resurrect something pure, something hidden, something His. Because you weren't called to be known. You were called to carry something. And the only way to carry the glory is to die to your own. Here's your 8 points. Number 1, the cross killed the brand. Number 2, God doesn't anoint image, He anoints integrity. Number 3, influence without surrender is dangerous. Number 4, your calling is not content. Number 5, the algorithm isn't the anointing. Number 6, the goal was never to be known. It was to make Him known. Number 7, you signed up to die. And number 8, heaven measures success by surrender. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. We'll see you next